Murphy Austin Adams Schoenfeld LLP, focusing on business law and commercial litigation, is proud to support Rob on the Road, Region Rising. More information available at murphyaustin.com.
And now, Rob on the Road, exploring Northern California.
David Heitstuman joins us now from the Sacramento LGBT Community Center, and it is great to see you from Midtown. David, how are you?
I'm doing quite well, Rob. It's fabulous to see you as well. Thank you.
It's great to see you too. And I have long wanted to have you on Region Rising for all that you have done to help this region grow and thrive, and most importantly, serve the LGBT plus community, and even so much farther than that. Before we jump into a lot of the service, what is the most burning desire that you see today, David, facing the LGBT community? And what is the thing that concerns you the most right now?
That's a great question, because I think that the desire of community and is not too dissimilar from my own personal interest for the center, I guess, is that we want a place that's both safe and welcoming, but also sustainable and predictable and stable and supportive and adaptable in the ways that we need as community members. I think that we had been on a positive trajectory for some time, and I thought that was going to continue. There was a time when I stood on the Capitol steps right after the marriage equality decision from the Supreme Court, and I thought that children born today are going to grow up in a world where there's more visibility and no bullying, and the violence against LGBTQ folks and discrimination will no longer exist. And unfortunately, what we've seen over these last 8 to 10 years is a reversal of that and the progress that we were making. And so even here in Sacramento and in the California progressive bubble that we live in, we still have a lot of people who are facing discrimination, harassment, and violence. And those things are all increasing, which has impacts on folks' mental health, their wellness, their economic opportunity, all the things that go into making a life where you can thrive and you can be sustainable and predictable and make long-term plans for the future.
And voices matter. Visibility matters tremendously, because when the narrative is negative, then negative is what people hear. But when there are powerful, positive voices out there, that has a longer impact than negative. And it is so important for us to do our part to shed light where light should be anyway. There should not be any fear around this issue, and it is just heartbreaking to see it creeping back up. But as progress goes, I don't think we have to accept the fact that there's going to be ups and downs, because it's just simply this. People gaining rights is not taking rights away from other people. Equal rights are equal rights.
It is, yeah.
And othering just does not serve anyone. How are you seeing any of this impact we're talking about play out inside the center?
How am I seeing it? So I think that inside the center, our own team experiences these things, the environmental trauma and the stress and the challenges that community members who are perhaps in more desperate situations than we are as employees are experiencing. But we see it in the news. We hear about it. We take in those stories. People share their trauma with us, and in order to get assistance, and we take that on and absorb it. And I, as a person, as a gay white man, have a lot of privilege that I try to deploy in supporting others and making space for others and holding space for others, and really finding ways to uplift and empower voices that have much less power and much less of a voice within the community. And I think that's true for all of our employees too. I try to ensure that their voices and their life experiences are amplified, and that they are able to sort of process and understand and deal with the trauma that they hear about, that they see about in the news, um, and think about and taking care of themselves from a wellness perspective, and just from an overall, self-worth and ability to thrive.
You have taken the Sacramento LGBT Community Center to new heights that, by any measurement, are astounding. And I know and I know you will attribute a lot of it to your team and to your board, and you are correct. There is enough credit to go around, but without you, this would not have happened. And I've seen you do this tirelessly for 13 years, is when you started there 13 years ago, correct?
2011, I walked into the center for the very first time.
And it wasn't even where you are now. And now you're in a beautiful building in Midtown that the LGBT Center bought. And it's just a spectacular place that is filled with love and light and service. You have built a team. Tell me how many people were there and how many you have now in the time that you've been
When I joined the board, we only had one full-time professional staff person. The executive director was expected to do everything. And well, I still sometimes feel that that's my responsibility as the CEO. When I joined as the CEO in 2016, we had 9 employees, a little less than $950,000 budget. And since I've been here in this role, we have grown to 56 employees. We have, as you mentioned, our new Lavender Heights headquarters right here in the heart of Lavender Heights, the historic LGBTQ district, where there's a strong sense of identity and visibility that in and of itself has its own power. Because representation does matter and visibility does matter. And we've built a team that's extremely diverse and representative, both in their sort of life experience and the groups that they represent within the community. And it has been a remarkable journey, one that I couldn't have imagined. I certainly had no thought about joining the nonprofit sector at all. And I couldn't be more proud of everything that we have accomplished. We were able to purchase this building and provide a permanent home for the community after 40 years.
Congratulations. Phenomenal. That's phenomenal.
Thank you. We opened the Marsha P. Johnson Center South to serve some of the most underserved community members of color in the South area. We have our 2 housing facilities. We're in the process of expanding access to youth services and youth programming in the surrounding counties. So it's just been an incredibly remarkable decade that I couldn't have imagined everything we would accomplish. And I'm just so very, very proud at how much and how far we have gone to provide greater access to community.
Well, you got some major attention this year, and all of your work caught the eye of some pretty big players on the worldwide stage, with MacKenzie Scott. And wow, wow, wow. $1 million donated to you. First of all, were you surprised?
On the one hand, yes, because it's a highly competitive process, right? 6,400 applicants, the first and only time there's been an open call for applications, and only 250 organizations were going to be selected to receive the gift. So it's a highly competitive program. Lots of very worthy causes and organizations that have really significant needs. On the other hand, we have done amazing things, and this is an amazing organization with a huge impact. And so, whatever challenges and critiques that most the folks might have, the proof is in the pudding, or like the work speaks for itself. The organization, its composition, its accomplishments, the growth and progress that's driving not only services that we provide here at the center, but also advocacy work that we're doing, and an opportunity for folks to find community in a way that they don't need social services, but are looking for a place of social connectedness. We are all those things for a growing population, and a community that really is behind the center. So on the one hand, yes, so super excited and surprised and shocked that we were selected amongst such a large group of worthy applicants. And it's a reminder that we're doing the right things.
It's unheard of. It's truly, it's phenomenal. And MacKenzie Scott working with Yield Giving, a billionaire, and using her fortune to make the world a better place. And what a donation, to so many people, because the services, you'll be able to put this money where you need to put it. And by the way, that's about, am I accurate that that's about 20% of an annual budget that you were given by her?
So we
Ish.
at the time that we applied, it was about 20%. We now have continued to grow. So we're pushing a $7 million annual budget now. And but $1 million still has an enormous impact when it's unrestricted. And so you can use it truly where you need it, where the community needs it. And that's going to look like a couple of different things. We're still working through exactly how we're going to allocate it, but at the very least, it provides safety and security and stability in a time when the state budget's being cut, the city budget's being cut, the funding streams and stuff, even at the federal level, are under attack, and we just don't have as much predictability about what's going to be available to serve community. And I really appreciate the way that MacKenzie's approaching this, because the local communities know what they need and they know how to best use the money. And so giving local communities and local organizations the opportunity to demonstrate their success and the veracity of their organizations and why they are a good investment, and then letting them decide what's most needed and where it should be spent.
Well, the gift actually is a tremendous proof of trust, because it's saying, take this and do with it what you need. I see your work. Now run with this.
It is the ultimate, demonstration or statement of confidence that,
Yes.
yeah, you know what you're doing here. You know the community's needs. We have confidence that you are going to put this to the highest and best use possible.
Mhm. And, your work alone could have garnered that attention. And this goes back to something we started with at the beginning. Also, that when people speak negatively about an organization or a group that doesn't deserve it, that catches the eye of positive people as well.
It sure does.
And so I just have to point that out also. David, if MacKenzie Scott were on the other side of this camera, what would you want to say to MacKenzie?
I mean, thank you. I hope that she understands how transformational her gifts are to organizations, and how impactful the way that she's doing it is. And so I would say thank you so very much. And I would want to just like sit with her and understand, like, where does that come from for her? And such generosity and openness to let organizations decide how they need to use the money in their communities is just very, very uncommon. And so I greatly appreciate it.
That was beautiful. That was so heartfelt, because it also says to me, and it moves you to tears, and I understand that, because it also shows you that as rich as MacKenzie Scott is, she finds her wealth far beyond money.
Yeah. And just, I mean, you do feel seen as an organization or as a leader, that the work that you have struggled to do for decades matters. And it matters to her, and it matters to her team. And they're willing to invest in doing more of that because it's awesome and you're doing a great job.
It is an infusion of goodness when MacKenzie does these acts of kindness. It is an infusion of love. And like you said, I see you. You're doing a good job. And I feel
Touched by an angel.
too. Yeah, for real. What do you feel makes you a good leader?
It's a great question. What makes me a good leader? I think the thing that has really inspired my leadership are things that I learned at Gonzaga, and just like growing up with my parents, who were always willing to step in and serve and support in whatever way they could. So kind of live by the philosophy of like, if it's within my power to give, then you shall have it. And um, I try to approach things from like if I know how to do it, or if I can help figure it out in some way, or I have the privilege or the resources, then I want to share that with others. And it's really not about me. It's about what other folks need, and just sharing sort of my gifts and talents with the world or with the community, and listening to folks and really having them guide where we're going to go together, because it's not about me. It's not all about what I want or what I need. I want to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to have their voice heard, that they're empowered to participate, and that I am helping uplift and build them up as leaders as well.
I like that. I like that a lot. What is on a tough day for you? What is your North Star? What keeps you going day after day? Is there a story that is something that is a driving force for you? Is it a lived experience? What is it that allows you to continue to work at such a high level and a hard level day in and day out?
I am extremely driven, and if I set my mind to something or I can see a pathway to something, I don't really see any other way, any other choice than to do it. So I yeah, if I can see a way to do it, then I feel empowered and like driven to get it done. Just the sense of accomplishment and finishing what I started and fulfilling the commitments that I've made, is probably what drives me the most. And at the end of the day, no matter how exhausting it is, I think about like the young person who showed up on our porch like without any place to stay, or the older person who's been isolated and shunned from their family and has no one to call. And I remember when I was young and having no real reference points in the world for what LGBT people were, and not understanding why I was being bullied and why I was being harassed and why I was sort of outcast from my peers. And on the one hand, you could say, well, you didn't know that you were gay, and so you didn't experience have the same kind of experience. But I think that it would have been easier for me to understand who I was and why this was happening than to be in the dark about it. And I know that if I had had an LGBT center in my community, that would have provided the opportunity and the reference points and a place where I could go and talk to folks and see myself and see a future. So I was talking about with pride in that is oftentimes for folks that live in more suburban or rural communities in particular, the first time that they are seeing other LGBT people in a state of joy and success and happiness. And that is so incredibly powerful, and that's an opportunity that we give folks walking into the center every day.
It's so important what you just said about your own youth and your own as a young person, and not knowing what was going on with the bullying and all of that. And it's so important for allies to be educated and empowered as well with inspiration and to see the goodness so that they can help as well. And I know you've seen strong allies come forward in your career, and allies make a tremendous difference as well.
They do. Allies are incredibly important. Accomplices are even more important. Not just folks who are supportive of what you're doing, but are willing to put themselves on the line and to make donations to your organization, to show up at a council meeting, or a school board meeting and speak in support of you, to not force you as the marginalized, vulnerable person to be your only advocate, but to demonstrate that there are people that are walking side by side with us and holding hands and uplifting those who have less privilege and less power, and support.
David, I really want to ask you, because I firmly believe that I use this platform as an opportunity to plant a positive seed in someone's home or heart, anywhere that they may see it. And I just have to ask you, are you encouraged?
I am.
Why?
Right? Even though it is yeah, even though it is a really difficult time nationally and at the state level, and actually, it's a really difficult time right now at the national level, seeing all of the bills that are anti-LGBT across the country, people fleeing other states to come to California because they can't access medical care or mental health care, or because they can't even talk about their identity at work or at school, or and doctors that are fleeing those states and coming to California. Um, that's really, really hard to watch. And here at the local level, seeing school boards pass these policies to forcibly out young LGBTQ folks, trans kids, keep them from playing sports, keep them from participating in activities, and forcibly outing them to their parents that may not be safe for them to be in a home environment like that. And so it's really visceral to see that and to experience that. And a good friend of mine, Nadine at Equality Florida, likes to remind me that oftentimes when there's a backlash against progress and inclusivity, what ends up being the case is that the reality is that the culture has already shifted. Society has already shifted toward acceptance and inclusion and openness. And whatever extreme levels of lashing out that are happening, it will fail. It's too late. The culture and the population has already shifted toward a more inclusive and accepting and embracing diverse world. Um, so that gives me hope. That gives me encouragement to know that even though it might be really hard right now, and we are going to have to fight like hell every single day to fight these battles at every school board meeting and city council meeting and in the halls of Congress and for the White House. We have to fight like hell to protect the ground that we've gained and the inclusivity that we're on track to make even more impactful. But that we can win, that we have more people out there who support us than are against us. And I have hope and I still feel encouraged to keep fighting every day.
And it goes back to, and this goes across all political spectrums. This goes across all any religious, spiritual beliefs, whatever. Love always conquers hate. It just does. And people can choose to step into love and this is in any area of their life. I'm not even talking about any area we're talking about now, but either you can love where you're headed or hate where you're headed. And which one's going to serve you better? If you live in a life of anger and hate, you're going to feel the result of that dis-ease. And I just have to say that your friend in Florida, Nadine, really nailed it on the head with that statement.
Yeah. I mean, how many people that are super angry and super hateful all the time, are they really happy? Are they happy with themselves? And they're obviously not happy with the world and the way things are going if they're lashing out in those ways. So I agree with you. I think like the way to happiness and joy and tranquility and peace in your life really is through acceptance and affirmation and um a level of inclusivity that lets you be you and me be me. And so long as we are not impeding on one another's ability to live our authentic lives, why should we care what other people are doing?
Mhm.
Be happy with who you are, and you will be happier with the community that you live in and the world that we all have to share together.
And hate keeps you in a state where you have such small blinders that everything in your body is just filled with rage. No one wants to live that way, and no one wants to frankly feel it from someone. When you live in the lens of love, you liberate yourself and others, and it sets people free. And it is a foundation for living that I think, frankly, caught MacKenzie Scott's eyes. When you go forward doing the right thing, no matter what, you will be rewarded. And I just think that's great, David. And it has served you so well too, David. I'm so grateful for you spending this time with us. And I'm so glad to have you here on Region Rising, because when I think about people who truly have helped this region rise, your name comes right to the top, because you consistently are driven for not just to get something done, but for excellence and nothing less. And I'm really proud of you.
Thank you so much, Rob. It has been an amazing journey. I've had so many supporters and cheerleaders along the way. And again, I just feel like if it's within my power to give, and then you shall have it. The community shall have it. I'm here for you. I'm here for everyone in our community, whether we agree or disagree. And so I'm going to show up. I'm going to show up as my authentic self and give everything I have.
I love that. Thank you so much. David
Thank you.
Heitstuman joining us from the Sacramento LGBT Community Center in Midtown in Lavender Heights. It is so great to see you. Thanks, David.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks for joining us. You can watch when you want at robontheroad.org. Murphy Austin Adams Schoenfeld LLP, focusing on business law and commercial litigation, is proud to support Rob on the Road, Region Rising. More information available at murphyaustin.com.